area that just leave me alone.
All right, must-read opinion pages now. Daily Beast. This is by Mike Barnicle, the true victims of playing war politics. By the time Trey Gowdy and Hillary Clinton finished their opening remarks at Thursday's congressional inquiry on Benghazi, Joshua Wheeler was dead in Iraq, half a world away from Washington. Sergeant Wheeler and the other Special Ops Rangers were in Iraq because of a deeply flawed and failed strategy set in place 12 years ago. Mrs. Clinton was in Washington testifying about Benghazi and 4 dead Americans because of a deeply flawed and failed strategy set in place 4 years ago. It's an old story. Across the weekend, both sides involved in Thursday's Benghazi hearings spun their stories, hoping for political advantage. On Saturday, largely unnoticed, Master Sergeant Joshua Wheeler's body was returned to the United States of America, his home, land of his birth. It's an old story.
Jonathan.
Sergeant Wheeler came home largely unnoticed, and one of the things that continues to go largely unnoticed, and Barnicle talks about this every time he's set, and people need to remember that only about 1% of the American public is involved in the military or has a member of the family who's a member of the military. And when you have this disconnect between the people of America and the people who defend America, Sergeant Wheeler is out there in a raid where he gets killed, and we're going about our daily lives as if nothing's happening. You have this spectacle on Capitol Hill on Thursday, 11 hours of nonsense that doesn't get to any real answers or any real questions about what happened in Benghazi.
Right. And following up on what we said, Casey, on Friday, is there was a lot of frustration among Republicans who actually are interested in policy that they had a chance to go after Hillary Clinton on the policy of Libya, on the policy of Benghazi, on why we did what we did there in the first place, which led to all of this. But instead, everybody was looking for a smoking gun.
There was a little bit of that at the beginning of the hearing from Peter Roscom, who focused in on the policy in Libya and was trying to sort of frame it as something that she made all those decisions for. And to follow up on your point, too, it's not just the American public who aren't engaged in the military the way they used to. These lawmakers are also not feeling the consequences of it. If you remember what Congress was like even 20 years ago, it was full of veterans of World War II, veterans of Vietnam, or people who had protested Vietnam, people who had a stake, were involved in the actual execution of the country's national security, and that's just not really the case anymore.
It's also another example, gerrymandering, where you actually have people who would be punished if they went back home and talked coherently about policy without laying a glove on Hillary Clinton. I mean, it's so gerrymandered. You get the most extreme on the left, you get the most extreme on the right, and the middle ground is vanishing rapidly in the House of Representatives.
Up next, it's not the Syria you read about